Welcome on in, my friends, to another episode of the Stream Scene, right here on twitch.tv/streamersquare. Today, our central focus is going to be on the role of streamers as community leaders, and secondarily, when, why, and how to move somebody else into that role on your behalf, to hire out or have a volunteer who pursues community leadership for you and your crew. Now, we are joined here by three immaculate human beings. Fortunately, the show is actually on today. We've had some problems getting the show up and running for the last couple episodes. So we are joined here today by Lula, DeejayKnight, and Merlin, a.k.a. Devin, which I had to write that down for myself. He helped me out on that earlier today. If y'all wouldn't mind introducing yourselves, I think DJ decided that the order is going to be from left to right: DeejayKnight, Lula, and then Devin.
I was not expecting to be first when I said that, by the way.
You called it.
I'm DeejayKnight. I'm a full-time space and sci-fi streamer here on Twitch. I'm also a show host on occasion, and I like to, play video games and hang out with my buddies, which is what this is. So thank you for having me.
Our pleasure.
Hi, I'm Lulaboo. I am a cooking streamer and I am a part-time video game streamer, and I also sometimes manage the streamer that's also lives in the house that I live in. So it's quite a busy gal, but I always like to find the time to make it work and hang out here and talk to everybody. Hey.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
He's just really rubbing it in Lula's face that she doesn't have access to
I wasn't even trying to. I was trying to do it so that she didn't have to worry about it. I am sorry. I'm just going to
No, that's okay. It's okay. It's great to have cheerleaders, okay? And he is, DeejayKnight is a great cheerleader. Thank you.
That is absolutely true. Okay, Devin, what about you?
And then, hi, I'm Devin. I am an independently contracted community broadcast and stream talent manager. I run the gamut for a couple content creators on Twitch and Caffeine, and I help just do the business side of the content creation.
Yeah, this is absolutely primo to have on this show. Really appreciate y'all's time. So, to start it off, I always like to lead in with what's the overview, right? It is like, give us an idea of what broadly we're really speaking about today. So, when it comes to community leadership, and I don't necessarily like the term managing your community because it sounds like it's this effort with objects, but these are, flesh and blood people. But what is like the essence of managing a community or community leadership as you see it, as it's been something that you've practiced or thought about or seen other people do it in a certain way?
Oh man, that's a really good question. Coming at somebody who's been watching other people do communities for a very long time, for me to see communities, I always see the streamer as what is that term on a cruise ship? The person who's head of activities, because that's who they are.
Is it head of activities?
That's either head or director.
It was like, the cruise boat captain dude that gets everybody to shuffleboard or something like that. Well, you get the idea.
I like that guy.
Yeah, so cruise director, thank you. So this basically, I always like to think of, for me personally, anybody can jump in later and tell me what they think, but as the streamer is basically the cruise director for anybody who's willing to kind of come with them to do these activities like, shuffleboarding or, community, whatever the hell it is that's going on. So that's what it means to me anyway.
All right.
Okay, I guess I'll go for it. Go for it, Devin. Go for it. You first, please.
I was going to say that was a perfect way to explain it. The one that I've always been told is content creators are kind of like a bartender. And
yes,
some bars will do like ladies' night or students' night. And it's just a way to get new faces and people who have been in the community a long time. It's just something to get hyped up about. Go to the Discord, join the community movie night, come play whatever battle royale with the community. It's the ladies' night of content creation. It's just that extra little bit just to keep everybody hyped.
Oh, yeah.
And that role is like the hype generator.
Yeah.
Here's what to get excited about and why.
Yeah.
Job rule of the stream. Okay.
There you go.
I was just saying last week, the hype man, like they're
That's right.
basically like the hype man of your community.
What would we be without you? So yeah, that's actually perfection. I don't really have a good enough answer for that because my community manager is also Epic Lala Girl. She like is my personal community manager, and she's just like reminding me like, hey man, you know, you could be doing this and you're not. And it's just like, okay, cool, sweet. I'll remember to do that. And then I don't, because if I don't do it when I hear it, it's never going to happen. But
and that's the great thing about having
I
somebody
totally
else in
get it.
that role, right? It's
Right.
like those reminders, like a second set of eyes, a second brain, not only coming up with the ideas or whatever, but also kind of pushing you to do it.
which is why on a
yeah.
personal level, I fail at the community manager stuff. But as a community with the flagship, Toxic Pig is great at that. Like I could not do any of that. Like, because I'm like playing video games and trying not to die and trying not to get laughed at. And when people laugh at me dying, I'm just like internally like,
Please don't cry in public.
but it's like, I try hard to not be tears. So like,
That actually brings me
I'm
to an
focused on other
interesting-
things.
that there's a question that comes out of this that is tied into like this idea of performance, which I've been thinking about a lot over the last couple of weeks, like performing a certain role. Is there something unique about the community leadership position? Like as a streamer, I started one sentence and moved on to another one. As a streamer, we have so many different roles that we have to play and roles that we have to perform. When it comes to community leadership specifically, does it feel like you have to wear a very particular hat, that you have to like direct your behaviors and the ways that you comment about stuff, like with that hype generation thing? It's like you have a goal in mind to get people really excited about something specific, and then you don that hat, you put on that hat and start performing that role. What other elements of the performance of community management and leadership do you see? The hype thing is a big one.
Well, I think, when it comes to community management, I think there's a whole umbrella underneath that, depending on how much you're going to have to take on yourself. So I will give it, I hate to do this, but I have so many examples, so I guess I will do it. But I swear to God, this is not like blowing my own horn or anything. But, you know, a long time ago when I was doing the same thing that Epic was doing, and I was like, hey, honey, you know, maybe you should start doing more stuff like this because, you know, it worked out last time. So like this one time several years ago, Towley did a whole thing where he dressed up as Santa Claus and gave away presents during Christmas time. And I'm like, you should really lean into that next year. And you should really do it just bigger and better and just stupid. And so now every year we do it, and we kind of make it this thing to where I've made a video where I've had to sing my own lyrics to like, here comes Towel Claus, here comes Towel Claus, you know, like. And it's just clips of him just doing the raunchiest stuff because that's Towel Claus. He drinks all our liquor in the house. Like we make it this whole thing
Like the bad
where
Santa.
he's not even Towley. He's just this new dude named Towel Claus. He only comes over once a year to drink all the alcohol and give away stuff, and then pieces out for the rest of the year.
Damn it!
So,
That's amazing.
and so,
That was great. I'm sorry.
no, yeah, and we've kind of evolved it every year to where I'm like, okay, guys, I'm gonna go with Towel Claus right now. We're gonna go look for all the stuff we're gonna get you guys. You know, we don't even like. I completely play it off as like he's a completely other person. I've decided to like do videos every year of clips of, you know, the previous years, and I have to make up new lyrics this year to a new Christmas song. And so I feel like that creates a lot of hype because you have a video that's out. You know, we always talk about, oh my God, guys, Towel Claus is going to be here in a couple of weeks, or, you know, like just stuff like that. And it's that whole thing where you're like a hype man and you get everybody jazzed about, you know, what's going to happen, some event that you're going to do. And I feel like that is a really nice community to just kind of do that. Not necessarily have to do a giveaway, but to have an event where everyone gets excited and you just... and it goes off so well because you get everybody so excited. Oh my God, guys, he's going to be here in like 12 hours or whatever, you know, like just like Santa Claus. So that's, to me, that encompasses like a lot of things for me personally when it comes to community stuff.
I mostly do this show to steal ideas, so consider that one stolen.
That was under the brim of the cap.
Sure.
Right?
He totally has had his
Right in here.
ideas stolen for many years. What's
Yeah.
new? That's fine.
So, there's something that kind of spawns out of that too, which is like one aspect that not everybody embraces and not everybody has to is like community event creation.
Mm-hmm.
So there's the idea that was presented of creating the hype for an event, but then there's also the what are my people even going to want to do? What do they want to see? So like, how does community feedback work with a lot of this type of stuff? Do y'all like ask them, what would you like to see for this? Do you do like kind of a postmortem thing of like, how did this go for you? You know, getting that input from the people that matter the most.
Data.
Yeah.
It's like this.
That's where I start. So, you do like soft leads or event hype things, just change up the content a little bit. Maybe one day you say, I want to try doing podcasting. So you just have a guest come on, you guys chit chat. Then you look at the numbers afterwards and you see, where the fall off point is, where in the stream were you at the fall off point, and then you can really start tuning, engaging, getting to bigger events. So like with one of my clients, we had with the entire mod team, we picked away at every single line of different sub events within a bigger event that's supposed to take a week, and it's based off of their interpretation of things that worked for a prior event, that worked for Star Wars, that worked for Borderlands, that worked for all of these other things that we're mashing into 1 week-long event for Cyberpunk, and it's all based on the community reaction and the data afterwards.
Well, that's why I keep saying that data analytics is something really that our streamers are going to have to like start learning more and more, because not only learning how to translate all the data that all these analytics that are getting thrown at us, by whatever you use, Stream Elements, Streamlabs, whatever, you're starting to get analytics from them. You're getting it from Twitch. There's like third-party analytics you can start using that probably no one's ever heard of, because we're not even there yet on being able to understand what's going to happen. We're not there yet, but we will be. And that's why data is like really good to look at. Previous broadcast, past broadcasting, how was chat ability during that segment, that new segment that you were looking at? Was there an active chat? Was there not active chat? Like, there's a lot to look at for stuff like that if you're really trying to sit there and analyze things. But for the most part, chat's mostly like, if they say nothing, they're either at work or they're like not super engaged with what you're doing.
Right.
And it's really hard to tell which is which. But eventually, you get to know your people, and you get to understand, okay, well, most of the time they just kind of tune me in while trying to pretend like they're not tuning in at work or something like that. You've kind of gotten something going when you're starting to see a lot of people kind of react in chat and give some engagement, I guess you could say. That's what everybody's looking for, engagement all the time. So it's always going to be hit and miss. It's always going to be taking ideas that worked before, changing it up for the new thing coming out, like Devin said. So that's always something that you're always just going to have to try and brainstorm and try to see, hopefully with the help of other people like Epic has with DJ, to just kind of have a sounding board, or you hopefully have somebody like a community broadcast manager who can kind of help you soundboard about, okay, here's what I think what happened, or somebody you trust can actually be that person for you to do that, because it could be anything. Sometimes events occur. Please stop me if I ever, because I can talk forever. So sometimes you can have events.
A streamer
where
continues talking. I've never in my life.
And okay, now I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, no, I derailed you.
No, that's okay. That's okay. That's fine.
So there is something I wanted to bring up about the and get y'all's feedback. Talking of feedback, that when it comes to the analytics about specific events, I suppose part of what's really important for analyzing them is what your goals were for the event in the first place.
Yeah.
Because if you didn't care about chat engagement, why would you care about it when you're doing your assessment, your postmortem in the analysis with the data? It wouldn't matter at all. Likewise with viewership versus chat engagement. There are a lot of times when all I really want is that chat activity. That means that people care about the thing that's going on to me, and I wanted some back and forth with that. And if I didn't get that, but I had significantly higher numbers, there's something to analyze there and maybe tease out. But I want to respond to the thing that I'm not getting out of those analytics. I'm so sorry. There was a strange noise. And now
That
I've
was me,
completely
sorry.
lost my.
Sorry.
my track.
I like tapped my
Want me
mic,
to, like,
trying to move my hand. I'm sorry. Please don't hate me.
Was it you, DJ? Okay.
It was. Again,
Please don't hate me.
if I may sprinkle a bit into this,
Please. Yes, absolutely.
I'm probably like, I don't know if I'm allowed to like name drop companies, but like
I don't see why not.
the analytics that I used to get from Muxy are the absolute best analytics that I could have to work with, and I do not get them anywhere else. They had such in-depth information of like, all right, cool, your viewers typically are on these hours on these days. So it's like, all right, if I know where, like, they're like, based on your followers, these are the hours that the people who pay attention to you are online. It's like, wait a minute, that's literally suggesting a schedule if I didn't already have one. Perfection. So like the amount of detail they had in those was top notch, and I legitimately miss having those stats. Sweet mercy, they gave you so much detail. And if you want to learn from statistics and things that are happening with your stream, they were the best place to get them, because they had everything you could want to know. All right, these are the other people that the people who watch your stream watch, and it just so happened that a lot of overlap was with people who I also watched. So it was like, all right, cool. I like this. My community is coming from places that I go when I'm offline. So if I'm not available, they're going to somebody I know most likely that works. So like,
Yes.
I could see, all right, their personality meshes well with my personality. So like, if we just so happen to do a community stream, it's not like a lot of people will be like,
They're trying to steal my viewers.
but if I can see from the data that a lot of my viewers watch them anyways, it's, if somebody would be like, oh, you're trying to steal my viewers, don't come here. It's like, no, literally, here's the data. My viewers watch you anyways.
I mean, there's an interesting value there too, right? Because there's on the one side, you have like kind of a keeping it in the family sort of thing, where if there's like a set, an informal set that's just presented through the data of a lot of my viewers watch this person and a lot of that person's viewers watch me, then you're kind of bouncing them back and forth between you, and that keeps it a little cohesive. And
that keeps it kind of tight in like one data set,
exactly.
if that makes sense. Yeah.
And on the other thing is this kind of this fascinating thing that showed up in my mind about that data analysis, that a site like Muxy would give you the relevant, not just the numbers, not just the raw stats, but what it means, creating context for the stats that it's pulling, which is something that I appreciate a lot, and leads into the other part of what I definitely wanted to cover at length, which is having somebody else fill this community manager role, because that person can also do that job on my behalf, where I'm number dumb and I just kind of like, I get like menu blindness. When it shows up there, I can see that there's stuff going on, but nothing happens here. Right. Having somebody else who can interpret that for me and give me the stuff that matters allows me to take action without wasting a lot of time. It would be a waste learning how to use that information when it's not my strong suit, when somebody else can do that better than I can. So fascinating. Do y'all use Sully Gnome at all?
Oh yeah, daily.
Yeah, is that the big one for you?
It is now. That's so when I worked at OPG, we had a really, really good internal data analytics program, and I miss it so dearly. But yeah, so now I use Solinome like every day. I'll go in and I'll check all of my clients, how did yesterday's stream go? How did the week overall perform? And then I'll even go back and check like 90-day trends, 365 trends, their games. And then I'll just do like a global. What was everybody playing yesterday? And just kind of get a pulse on what everyone's starting to do. That way you can start anticipating things like Among Us before it starts blowing up.
Mm-hmm.
So,
that's interesting. That is an interesting approach right there.
That's interesting. I feel like the tools that I use outside of Sully Gnome are Arsenal. Like,
oh yeah,
I spend a good amount of time on Arsenal. Like, it's like a lot of the stuff that I used to get from Muxy, just like kind of in one page. Like, here's the relevant data. Here's your followers gained, your followers, your views gained, your views, like all of the important stuff in kind of like one place. That is what I was used to getting from Muxy. It's great.
So what about going back to the thing that I think I started on but never went anywhere with is this idea of event creation, right? Because we talked about as a part of this role is getting people excited about events that are coming up. But what process, if any, do y'all go through to create events that you think will excite people?
Well, personally, first and foremost, I always try to make myself laugh. And I think if I think this event would be funny, I usually tend to do that. But side note to that, you actually have to make sure it's kind of something relevant to what you've already been streaming. So like, and I don't want to make this as a weird example. Let's say DeejayKnight, he does a lot of space, exploration stuff. So it wouldn't make a lot of sense for him to do something not related to that when he's trying to make an event happen, unless he's trying to like test the waters and do something different.
Like not suddenly jumping into The Sims out of nowhere.
Yeah. And that's like, hey, let's do Sims today, you guys. Like unless you have the kind of community that is really ride or die for DJ, like you don't know. And that's why you do those kind of things,
Right.
is to kind of do things out of the open, because you can kind of see like, do they see you for you, or do they see you for you and your game? Like, they have to be both.
Is it that personality driven, or is it the content behind the personality?
But aside from that, let's just say you're trying to do something relevant to what you're already doing right now. So you have to make an activity that makes sense to you and your community and the game. If you're a main gaming or main genreing, then from there, you get your hype man, or you get you yourself try to build this up within a period of time to like, hey guys, this is gonna be great. Please come in. Like, this is gonna be good. Like, come in here. It's gonna be like amazing. So for me, it's always been a process to where, you're either trying something out or you're leaning into one of your strengths, and you're going in full blown trying to, hopefully the event makes sense to you and your stream. And so you're going in there to promote, with a period of time that makes sense to you, because if you kind of go in there cold without really giving a lot of notice, and you're trying to like put people into an event without you preparing them, like, oh, I thought we were going to do this what we normally do. I mean, that can also be an issue for some people.
Yeah.
So
being able to learn from that as a failure is also really exciting to me.
Yes.
I love failures for that exact purpose.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I am no longer afraid of crashing and burning on some aspects of stuff.
Yeah.
Because I just gotten to the point where like, let me try something. Let's see. Okay, that's cool. And that's just when I use the most time, especially if if I already know I'm in this event and I'm failing, I'm like, all right, that's fine. Let's test out some new stuff. Ready, set, go. Is how I like to kind of go for it, because, no matter what you do, generally have a group of people who are ride or die, depending on your, on a lot of factors, and, they're going to come back. You just got to work them back, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm. Devin, do you have any particular application for like event creation?
Nothing specific. So I use ClickUp now.
Oh my God. Dream.
Love it.
Did Loco turn you onto that?
Actually, Janessa, Pods of War, turned me onto it months ago.
It is my jam.
I love it. And then there's also Notion. Notion's another really good one, but it's got a much steeper learning curve.
Steeper than ClickUp?
Yes. But it's got a lot of functionality. You can have it like create things on its own.
Interesting.
So you input A and B, and it can create a C, D, and E for you. But yeah, you got it. It's a deep dive hole that I have not gone down. But I use ClickUp, and generally what I'll do is I click around. I go and look at some of the other big content creators and things that they have done in the past, and then I'll kind of trickle down to smaller, newer, up and coming streamers and see what they're doing, because a lot of the time, there's that dichotomy of big with a big team, they've got support behind them, and then someone doing it themselves, and getting those kind of ideas. I'll throw them in a ClickUp menu, and then I leave it. I leave it for like 2 or 3 days. Because the best thinking you do is when you're not thinking on it.
Absolutely. Letting your subconscious chew on the stuff. That's the source of creativity and innovation.
And then I just, I'll go to the content creator or the content creator's team, throw out a couple ideas like, hey, what do you think about stickers? Or, whatever have you. And if it doesn't stick and resonate with the content creator, and if it doesn't stick and resonate with the content creator's mod team, the chance of it sticking beyond that is very low.
Yeah.
So, it's just, throwing the spaghetti.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
It's
really is.
Seeing what adheres to the wall in a paint safe fashion so I can get my deposit back. I mean, so there's an interesting thing that you mentioned is like, was that difference between looking at large creators and what they're doing versus some up and coming creators. One of the things that popped into my head, and let me know if this is not something that resonates, is with large streamers, I feel like you'd be more likely to see a lot of risk averse people and a lot of events that are coming out that are kind of somewhat predictable. I mean, they may have any number of exciting things, but it tends to be something that's exciting because we already know that it works.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with the up and coming streamers, there's a greater likelihood of applying a lot of risk and trying something that it really innovating.
That's exactly it.
Think about that.
Oh,
Oh no, nothing negative. I'm sorry. I just
no, I just thought it was about to get good because she was like, "Oh no, I got something to say about that." I got something for you right now. Like,
yes. So I always find that the medium to smaller streamers have one of the most biggest levels of innovation. I find anytime something new kind of pops up, with the exception of Among Us, anytime something kind of new pops up, it's always usually generally I see some like this, whatever this new thing, either streaming wise, event wise, new concept for doing something in your stream. I tend to find those more into the smaller to medium stream people because they tend to take more risks. Like you said, the bigger streamers are more risk averse and are less likely to try something different because they have I guess they have a lot more to lose.
Right.
And seeing other people try something new has always been something that I enjoy. I don't like watching bigger streamers because of that. I don't like watching because I know, if you are comforted by sameness, by having the same thing every day, then by all means get up there and go after those big old streamers. Because there is an audience for people who love sameness, who love comfort of the same schedule everywhere.
It's a lot of people.
Yeah, that's why that's why
it works every time.
Yeah. And then there's the people who try the new stuff, and I always find a lot of inspiration. And this, I hate saying this all the time, but I get a lot of inspiration from like people like Skin Teen, people like oh my God, I'm blanking out. Like new up and coming cooking streamers that I always like creep in on my smaller cooking streamer buddies' channels because they are just absolutely trying everything and anything. And you know what? They're actually like, if they had a bigger audience, it would be so crazy. And I get jealous of some of the stuff that Skin Teen does because I get so mad. I didn't think of it first because it's either A, really funny, or B, it's brilliant. That should have been something a long time ago. And
she does some really, really interesting stuff.
Super, super high production value for not having a cam stream, and absolutely killing it. Absolutely killing it.
That risk thing is super fascinating to me. It's something I've been thinking about a lot myself. Because right now I'm on an intermission where I'm not streaming, but instead working, 10-hour days working on all these projects that I want to bring back. And part of the assessment that I gave for myself for this was, well, my viewership itself is in a real slump. There's a lot less chat activity. So I'm really not risking a lot to take time off from streaming to work on all these things that I think are going to be absolute game changers, not necessarily shoot me up to 10 billion viewers, but things that make me really happy and excited to bring these projects to people, even if it's 10. Those committed people make me feel committed to all of that engagement and to the career again, which is really neat. But it was that limited risk that compelled me, that limited risk. It was that the idea that it could crash and burn and I'm not significantly worse off than I was before, where I know I would have the opposite perspective if I was sitting up at 800 viewers or whatever. I'd be like, there's no way I'm taking this time off to work on projects. Absolutely not. There's so much risk to have that drop down significantly, It's fascinating.
Absolutely. Well, and the other part of it that nobody even wants to admit is there's even the social pressure. And when you get up towards the top and you have a lot of these peers who are sitting at 2, 3, 5, 10,000 viewers, and it's like, oh, but then such and such took 2 weeks off. Now they're only sitting at 4,000 viewers,
Yeah.
but
People
we
pay
want to do an
attention to that,
among yeah. So it's the social component is there
Interesting.
at every level, and I think at the smaller level, it's easy if you accidentally burn a bridge, or if someone burns a bridge with you. There's other content creators that you can build bridges with. There's a much larger community, where at the top it's a very small select number of people. And there's only so many bridges to burn or to avoid.
There's only so much Tinder out there for you to catch it on fire.
Right.
I'm just laughing because the idea of being at only 4,000 people watching the stream.
Yeah, I know. Everything's
Well, a pretty
relative,
weak
right?
showing.
Wish.
Right. Well, it's crazy. So when I first got into like talent management, the top was like 3,000-4,000, and now it's in the teens to 20s. So it's just crazy to think about that scale.
Oh,
Back
it's always
in
going
the
to
olden
change
days.
too.
2 years ago. Yeah.
I do like it's awesome to me though, because seeing that like I've been streaming since 2015. I feel like everybody here's been at it longer than me, but like to see somebody like Myth. Like I remember when Paragon came out. Myth was playing Paragon to like teens, like not tens of thousands, like 15, 20 people.
Like double digits?
Yes, like double digits, sometimes single digits of like when he starts, and then he just would go to like double, maybe hit 100 on a day. And he was great at Paragon. Like I remember playing Paragon with him and Smashley. It's just like wrecking some face. But like when Fortnite came out and he blew up, it's just like I don't think I've seen him at less than 4,000 people. Like for him to have a day of like only 4,000 is like for him, that's that life. But like it's awesome to see that streaming can do that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's just impressive to me, and I love Paragon. 2, Myth is a beast. But like, like he's been a beast. Like there's a thing that I like to consider when it comes to somebody in like the level of success they achieve, right? Like I could go in the men's chat and say, "What up, homie?" and he'd be like, "Yo, DJ, what up?" Like that's one of the hardest working men on Twitch, and it's like, bruh, like, excuse me, like.
You can't just do that.
Right. Like, it's like, bro, how you trying to give me a compliment? You out here doing the work. Like, but that's, to me, that is a sign of like, he got it and I can see, and I'm excited that he's keeping it, because that's a level of like, yo, you a beast. Like to think of somebody as a beast when you're at like 20 viewers, and then to treat them like a beast. Right. When you're at 4,000,
that humility
is a whole nother level. Like
the respect is immense. But this there's an interesting point that comes out of this. Maybe not an interesting point, an interesting question, which is that's the scalability of community. As a streamer, you don't have more time in your day because you have more viewers, right? You have no additional time that you can put into connecting with your community. When it's at the smaller scale of things, like that's where I'm generally happiest, because I can connect one-on-one, right?
Right.
If I have 12 people watching my stream and 5 of them are talking, I can learn each and every one of their like intimate life stories, and chatting them up in Discord and whatever. 4,000, that's gone. That just dissipates. And there has to be some kind of a shift, not only in the mentality, but also the approach. And I wonder what y'all think about that.
There is a huge difference between talking with your chat and then talking at your chat. And you do
at
get
or
to
to,
the point,
right?
Yeah, you get to that point where you have enough viewership to where you can't really spend that individual community time that you used to have, and you can't give everybody their fair share of time anymore, because chat's either scrolling so fast or just for whatever reason there's just a lot of people. And so you see that all the time. It is possible after a while to learn how to talk with your chat again at a higher level, but it takes some getting used to. But there are people, you see it, the bigger streamers out there who have like the tens of thousands, who don't talk with chat, they talk at chat all the time. And they still love it. They same thing. They just want that sameness. They want that comfort of who they usually like to have as their streamers. So, if you're coming in trying to get to know a streamer individually, you get a better chance at doing that with the medium to smaller streamers, unless you go for like those mega streamers. That's just more of you're watching a show happen.
Mhm.
and you're trying to, and you're kind of more like talking with chat than with the streamer in the chat and the
Yeah.
mods. I guess you're kind of trying to talk to the streamers through the mod as well. So
Right, that's also
so
true.
that's how they're helpful at a higher tier
That's
level
really
of
interesting.
streamers, is that you're more talking through the streamer through the mod.
Yeah.
So I actually go back to my point about streamers being bartenders. The smaller streamers are your local pubs where you sit down at the bar, you have a conversation with the bartender. They know, or a barber. I know a barber is another good
Right.
one. You know, they know your story. They know what you were doing last week. They know what you were doing. But then there's the clubs. You still have a bartender, but you're there for the content. You're there for the dancers and the music and the vibe.
And you can't talk
At
to
most
each
you'll get
other.
8 seconds of conversation with that bartender who's just
Yeah, because he's
Ex-
like
handed them out.
But there's always a waiter or a waitress who you sit in their same section. You're always there. Maybe
Yeah.
it's a friend. That's the mod. That's
Interesting.
so that's, I go back to the bartending one a lot, because that's kind of that familiarity that content creators do provide.
And DJ, so I'm definitely curious about your perspective on that scalability of community and conversing with versus conversing or just like talking at, because you regularly go from your core community up to these big, massive events where, you know, you have thousands or tens of thousands of people watching you. How does that community engagement shift for you, particularly from the one to the other?
It's a weird situational kind of thing. It depends on what I'm doing and what game I'm playing. Like for a game like Elite Dangerous, most of the time in Elite Dangerous, people come in and like,
Wow, he's got a headset thing as he's moving his head around and he's talking to the computer.
like that is, I'm being a smartass about that, but like that's the most that I generally get when it comes to like my regular viewership. But if I'm in front of thousands of people, there's like 1,000 of those questions of like, whoa, what is this about? But what's cool is that I'm stoked and honored to have the community that I have, that they've seen that question so much that they go to answering the questions for people, because I'm dumb about information. I like to have commands for any major thing that somebody can ask a question for, that if I answer it more than 3 times, I want to have a command for it, because it's going to come up again. And I want to be able to answer it quickly while I'm focus mode. So I can just say, oh, exclamation that, and then it'd be there. So
Core community members kind of become representatives
Exactly.
when that shifts over.
And mods usually can put that exclamation point there for you before you even have to notice it too. So if you have those good mods that are proactive for you,
Just
they will be on it without you even noticing what the question was.
every time. And it's not just mods, it's mods and community members. I try to make very few things only like that are mod only. Like,
yeah.
Only things I want mod only are like shout outs. Like, I
I'm
don't
very
want somebody
conservative about that. I'm like, only mods can use any commands. I trust nobody else with this.
I understand that, but like I feel like I have a timer on my commands that's like 20 seconds. So like give it 20 seconds. Right. So like you can't use the same command within 20 seconds necessarily of it again. After it like it happens and it happens again. It's like, all right, cool, give it some time. But beyond that, it's like that's a crucial part of
community,
the process. Like community. If somebody who's regularly in the community wants to see, okay, what is this thing that they always do? Oh, this, and they type in that exclamation point and they get the data. That's one less person who's going to do it again. That's one less time that you're going to see that command in the chat that it doesn't work, and you have to remind people like, hey man, that's mod only. Like, so by having only shout outs be mod only, anybody in my community can pull up any command at any time. So it makes life easy. It gives out information, which is like, I'm an educator, man. Like, information is my goal. Like, have all the information you want. Please take it. Like, learn, do all the things. Like, go. You know the command. Cool. Have it. Like, that answers the question. If I'm focus mode, like I was today in Elite, like trying to shoot people, I can't answer all the questions. I'm going to miss a bunch of questions. Then if people don't at me, they're like, yo, I asked you a question. It's like, I didn't see it. It didn't highlight red for me. So I missed it. My bad. And then if they can ask a question and the community member can answer it, that makes me feel better because because questions are being answered, information is flowing as smoothly as possible, and it also gives your regulars the ability to help entertain people and help enlighten people like you would anyways. So that means your regulars are ambassadors for your community to people who aren't there regularly, which means that they get to help do the thing that you would do to new people. So like, wait a minute, not only is the streamer entertaining and informative, like everybody else is too. Sweet. This is the kind of place
And
I
as
want
a
to hang out.
community member, I feel good when I get to play that role in some other streamers, you know, when I'm a member of their community. I feel important and involved, and it makes me feel a bit of a deeper commitment to their community and their brand and their personality and all that by participating in that way. So I think it's really interesting to kind of prompt that, to kind of create a culture in your community where that becomes the thing. That is really interesting.
That's part of the reason why I can get away with having, like, even with those large viewer situations where if I get lucky enough to get front page, right? Like, even having a bunch of people, that doesn't mean that chat's going to change. Chat doesn't necessarily change all that much, but having the kind of community that will help answer those questions makes it that much better a situation. It's like, I don't feel bad for being focus mode because I know questions are being answered, because that's the kind of community that we built. And to me, that is, that's a reflection of the kind of community that we've built together. And that is like, there's no higher honor to me. Like, oh yeah, y'all are teaching people. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Like, it's the best.
Now that is legacy, DJ. That is legacy. So now I don't want to, I want to make sure that we get into the subject that I'm the most interested in, which is bringing somebody else in to run this portion of, to wear that hat, where you buy them a fresh hat. And that's, you don't want to have all, like, I'm just such a greasy person. I don't want to give my hat directly to somebody else, but I'll buy them their own and then take mine off. You know, it's just that Italian oil, you know. But
That was unexpected, greasy.
Just
like, wow.
Before that, I am interested in maybe getting a quick perspective on what y'all see as the difficulties or hazards of the streamer themselves being solely responsible for community leadership. I mean, excluding mods, who obviously also may very well take on that, like, don that mantle. What are some of the difficulties and struggles and the hazards that operate there for the streamer specifically?
Burnout.
Well, you took my idea.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got it.
Yep, got
Question answered. Good game.
So
sorry, go ahead.
It's just one of those, you know, you're on as a content creator. You're entertaining, you're hosting, you're acting as tech support, you're acting as an ambassador for brands, you're acting as an ambassador for games, you're acting as, like you said, all these different hats. Well, now when you're done streaming after 6, 8, 10, 12 hours, now you have to go engage on Twitter, engage on Instagram, engage in Discord, and all these different things.
So even 3 hours is exhausting for quite a few people of streaming.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then, you know, you just converted a part-time job or even a full-time job into two jobs, into two full-time jobs. And you can only do that for so long. You can only do your best for so long before you absolutely burn out. And then, you know, some people don't come back to content creation after those burnouts.
Very, very true.
God's truth.
Yep.
When it comes to community challenges, I have at least I think it's unique to me, kind of a challenge to have, and it's like getting yourself open to everybody, because I am a very private, I'm a very reserved person. I do not like
open
to share.
and vulnerable.
I am not open to stop it on vulnerability. You better stop it. I don't cry in front of people. I don't I was raised as a boy growing up, like, not literally, but, you know, like the whole, you know,
The mentality.
Yeah, the mentality of being a tomboy and, like, not really being tough and never crying. No, don't let anybody see you cry. And, you know, so, as an adult, trying to change it up and trying to kind of, you know, give an extension of yourself to your community, so that for the sense of community and closeness is another facet really to take a look at. And that is exhausting in itself, especially if you're not used to sharing any aspect of yourself to anybody.
It's that emotional bandwidth.
Yeah, emotional bandwidth it would be a really good one, and that runs out for a lot of people. That runs out for me a lot. I have a hard time because I am for many years I was community phobic. I refused to make a Discord. I refused to do anything after hours of the stream, and until very recently, I started like, okay, guys, let's contribute stuff. I'll talk to you guys on Discord more often. let's go ahead and do a community night, which I have renamed to Macagsba, so that it was a little bit more personal to us. And so I started doing this thing. I made a guild on WoW for people that want to show up and like stay with me and do stuff on WoW. So I've seen a lot more growth because of that, but it's also extremely exhausting. Like I am having problems making sure that I keep engaged, because I know I've lost people because I haven't been engaged enough. People have moved on from me. That's okay. They were never going to stay in the first place if that's the case. It's one of those things where you kind of have to get that mentality of like, if they were just going to leave, they were never yours in the first place. They were just passing, and that's fine. And you can't get caught up on that sort of thing. And that's another thing that would lead to burnout.
Oh, I can, and I do.
Also same.
No. So it's not only, super cerebral analytical that you have to look at, like Devin was saying, but you also have to be like kind of having to put yourself out there. And that's very challenging for me still. I still have a hard time just kind of staying engaged on the chat, I guess. And it's a process, but it's been rewarding. I've, as DeejayKnight said, I've been killing it lately. So it's been helpful, just always have healthy boundaries.
Because you're a beast, that's why.
Thank you. Just always have healthy boundaries, and do not be afraid to ever, ever, ever set those up and to enforce them like your life depended on it.
So glad you mentioned boundaries.
You really need to have those boundaries. I no longer am nice about it. I will enforce boundaries, even if that means I lose that person as a viewer. That's fine. Yeah, have a good life. See you around Twitch or whatever.
Yeah, I think part of that balance, the boundary balance, is something about assertiveness that I learned, is that essentially to be assertive means addressing and accepting other people's boundaries, but also being not necessarily like violently forceful, but really clear in establishing and securing your own boundaries. Both of those in tandem. I think that the more I've been applying that, I feel like my community engagement has been a lot better. I felt more confident in it, really. I think in just being that version of assertive.
I just have this rule of like, when I get off stream, I'm going to hang with the family, fam. Like I'm not going to see that star in advance.
Right.
Like, and it's like, it's not even a thing that I'm trying to like be a dick about or anything. It's just like, I literally will step away from the computer. I will not come to this desk until probably a half an hour to an hour before I got to stream again, because like I'm going to come back and I'm going to come stand at this desk. I'm going to check emails, make sure I'm not missing any emails. Even right now, like the amount of unread emails I have in my inbox is stupid. But when I walk away from this computer and I'm not in the studio, I try my best to not come back until I'm about to do something, because I will literally always find something to do at this computer, because
something to do. Yeah.
Right. There's always a thing. It's like, I didn't answer this email. Let me go answer this email right now. I didn't check these DMs. Let me go check these DMs and then reply. Oh, snaps. I forgot to check Discord. Let me go check Discord. Make sure I'm not missing anything. It's a pile of things that you don't think about until you're in the situation to where until you're in work mode and like, all right, cool. This is me. This is work. I'm at it. Let's get it. And then like 2 hours go by and it has nothing to do with the stream, but you've done a bunch. You've gotten a bunch done, right? Like I'll come and sit down. Some days I'm late because I'll come and sit down and then I'll sit and then it'll be an immediate like, oh crap, I didn't pay this bill. Let me go pay this bill. Oh yeah. Well, I just paid this bill. That reminds me of this other thing that I need to do. Like, okay, let me
the
go
whole cascading waterfall of all the stuff.
It's a list of things that needed to happen that I forgot about, but then they got done. It's just that, oh, I'm late now. Ugh. So you have to have those boundaries, because if I was on in that time, those things wouldn't have got done. Mm-hmm. Because if I don't, I'm sorry, I cut you off. If I don't do a thing right now, my thing is, if I don't do a thing immediately when I think about it, I will not think about it for a week. Same. It'll happen a week later, like, oh,
and I'll think about it in the shower when I really can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
Why?
That's why like Epic will be like, oh, well, here's this thing. Like, remember this thing to do. It's like, all right, cool. I'm gonna do it right now. She's like, stop it. What are you doing? You're in the middle of something. And I'm like, this is a thing that will take me 30 seconds.
Right.
If I don't do this thing right now, you will be upset with me about it in a week and a half. So like, let me just knock it out now.
Yeah.
She won't. It's just, it sounds funny to me, but it's like no, like rather than putting myself in a situation where I'm going to put something off and procrastinate until it's way too late, like get it done right now while I can think about it. Especially if it's something that's quick, do it. Because if I don't, I won't.
As long as it's within your boundaries.
Yes.
Boundaries to establish for yourself. Like connecting
What a
what you
boundary.
said to what Devin was saying when like talking about burnout, not reinforcing and adhering to your own boundaries is a great way to start this kind of subtle subconscious resentment of the work that you do.
Mhm.
When you allow yourself to take that, to have that clean like work-life hygiene, where there's like a clean demarcation between my personal life and my work stuff. When that's allowed to exist, that's going to invariably be better for my community and my career, because it allows me to keep that excitement and to rejuvenate my emotional well, so to speak. And then I get to bring all that back to the community, instead of the idea that we always get so caught up in of I have to always be on, that always on mentality. I have to always be performing. I have to always be checking in and posting something and talking on Discord and then streaming when I'm not doing any of that stuff. That's the great recipe with all those perfect truffle-based ingredients for burnout.
That's
That
what you
will
did there. Well played.
destroy. Yeah, this the DJ's he's needled his way into my brain with this with the truffle stuff we were talking about before the show. That's a great way to like kill your community and kill your career and kill the joy that you have for streaming itself.
Definitely.
That was a monologue. I don't know where that came from.
That was good.
Okay.
Thank
I
you.
kind of went on a mini one. You went on a mini one. Monologues happen. Talk shit.
Yeah,
Very
I
true.
can just talk forever. You can just stop me.
I
Whenever.
know. I always want these shows to go to be 6-hour streams. So I do want to make that transition with the last 25 minutes that we have to talk about bringing other people in for this role. And yeah, I kind of want to start off with the idea of timing. What is the indicator, or what are the factors that start bubbling up in somebody's mind that makes them go, it's the right time to start looking for somebody else to be the community manager or the community leader or head up that role?
What? The idea of like giving it to somebody, just what? Like that's tough. Like I have a hard time modding people because
Yeah.
Just giving the moderator.
right. Like if somebody asks for mod, you're not going to be a mod. That's just rule one. But I won't even consider giving, like, I feel like mod is like the base level outside of like a regular of like importance in the community. So like for somebody to even remotely be somebody I consider for being a mod is like, is it somebody who's regularly in the community?
Mm.
Is it somebody who regularly answers questions of people in the community? Is it somebody that would greet people like I would greet people if I were in my chat? Those are the musts. Outside of War L, because I don't know how War is such a machine. War is a machine. He is
War
literally
bots like
a human bot.
people.
I've met him. I know he's a human.
I have no idea.
Bot like human I've ever met, and that's a compliment. Please don't think that I'm trying to like say anything negative about War. War is a next level, like he is a demigod of mods. I feel like he is like the goal for mods. Like he is mod goals. Trust that man is a beast. But like outside of that, outside of him, like, he is the exception to the rule.
Gotta have exceptions to have a role.
Yeah, outside of him, my mods have to exude the thing that I want my community to be.
Embodying it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They have to be somebody who is positive. They have to be somebody who is informative. They have to be somebody who is helpful.
It
And
fits
it's
with the values.
That's me. Like, and that those are the values of my stream, at least.
Yeah.
Like helpful, informative, funny on occasion. Like, yeah, I might say something stupid that people like. Cool, but like those are the basics. You can't touch mod, and like to get higher than that, like it took me from streaming of March of 2015. It took me until what 2 months ago to give somebody editor in my stream.
You're picky.
I get it.
Ridiculously so. So like
Very smart.
going higher than like to get modded. You a beast. Like, and I feel like I'm sorry. I've monologued, ladies and gentlemen.
Please don't hate me. My
Okay,
name is
yeah,
DeejayKnight. These are my stories.
No, I totally get it. But I'm actually kind of reaching this point where, because I am just like DJ, I will not give a lot of people mod. And when I do, I want to make sure that they've been either, I can trust them explicitly with stuff. Only one person in my channel has the edit button. And that also happened only this year. So I've also understanding that my time is worth way more lately. Like I am literally putting value to my time to where the point where I'm like, okay, it's time to like put some people who have already been super helpful for me to kind of offer to pick up a little bit more of the streamer broadcast manager side. I guess you can say something like Devin's job or something, just to kind of help carry the load so that there is less for me to do when I do show up to the computer 30 minutes before the stream starts.
Yeah.
That if I have somebody who is super proactive, I'm like, hey, I changed your title for you. What do you think? Is this the title you want? Here's the game that did you want to start just chatting? Like, if you find that one mythical mod person that is so proactive and kind of knows what you need without you realizing what you need, that is magic right there. Like you want that. Like you stay here. What do I need to do to keep you around in my vicinity to keep doing what you're doing right now? And can I ask you to do some more stuff? Can we work something out? And it's really and I think I have found somebody like that recently on one of my mods. So I was really, really happy with finding somebody who can kind of just do the little things that I don't have to take care of.
Yeah.
That will help me worry less about the little things, and I can pay attention to more of the stuff to brainstorm, to use some of my brain power to brainstorm something, for an event for the community in the future. And that's what I always like.
Devin, at what point do you feel like a streamer might value the most approaching you? The point at which there ought be that conversion from, I'm not going to wear this hat anymore, somebody else has to do it. Here, help me, please.
So one of the things, it's actually one of my favorite questions, and that's,
oh, you're welcome.
As a content creator, you know, there's two big stems. There's the content and then there's the business. And if at any point in time, 35 average viewers, 3,500 average viewers, if you get to a point where you can sit down, you can, emotionally scan top to bottom and go, this is a skill I do not have. This is something that I do not have the time for. This is something I don't have the bandwidth for. Then that's the time in which you can start having those conversations. And DJ brings up a really great point. A lot of content creators, every content creator I have ever met, you guys, you're not just going on and making funny faces, and you're making art, you're making content, you're making a live content show every single day. And it's very hard to hand that off to just anybody.
It's your baby.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also equally hard in 2020 to find somebody who is vetted, who isn't part of a company that, self-implodes. And it's also equally hard to separate the person from their own online personality.
Yeah.
So you and I actually had the conversation of like, what do you prefer to go by? Do you like to go by Merlin or Devin? I like to go by Devin in business situations because that's who I am. That is my wealth of experience. That is my college. That is all of my life experience. Where Merlin is when, I'm on somebody else's stream filling in as a content piece on their shows.
Like a little encapsulation of a version of your personality, of who you are. Whereas Devin is the whole narrative arc of your life.
Exactly. And so when somebody comes to me and they're like, hey, I want a business manager, or I want a broadcast manager, or a talent manager, whatever X manager that they want, the first questions that I always ask, it's, what are you looking for? What are your goals? What is your content goals? What are your personal goals? What are, your 3-month, 9-month, 3-year, 9-year plans, and how does bringing me on help you to do that? Because I've got rates and you might be able to fulfill those rates, but if it's just changing, somebody's status, a mod status, or building, a larger mod team, then there's no point to have me. If you're already answering the emails, if you're already negotiating your rates, if you're already reaching out to all these different sponsors, you're bringing me on just to bring me on.
I like to feel important.
Yeah, and get paid for it. I mean, that's great.
No, I mean, like, I would feel more important to be able to go like, oh, I have a manager for.
But at the same time, you could have a mod who just has, hey, in any kind of situation where it's starting to get heated with a sponsor, or I just need somebody to kind of back me up in this, as long as they've got an NDA, you can just be like, hey, this is my talent manager. Your mom could be your talent manager.
Just run some interference. Yeah.
That's exactly it. Especially in traditional media, in film and television, a talent manager is traditionally a family member who helps just to be that big brooding shadow in the background,
Mm-hmm.
so that the person with the
It's
money,
always the mom.
they're a good one. But so the person with the checkbook, they're checking what they're saying. There's somebody else in the room. There's a witness. There's eyes. There's ears, and there's much more than just a tweet thread, DM thread. There's the touch, the tone, the feel, and the vibe. So when a person says that they're ready for a broadcast manager, I think that's just the point in which they're ready to start handing off some of the responsibilities of their channel.
And that could be a big deal for a lot of people.
It should be a big deal.
Yeah,
Right.
There's some people who treat it like, oh my God, you're a mod now. Oh, here, let me give you editor really quick. And I'm like, no, what are you doing? You just met them. Like, yeah.
I'm so glad that I'm sorry.
Wait, say it again?
Oh, I feel like I interrupted you, so I was saying I'm sorry.
No, I'm done.
Okay, I was gonna say that I'm so glad that the VIP role exists.
Yeah.
So that I can see my buddies in chat, like, because I VIP anybody who I can. It's like when I see, all right, cool, I VIP, I know who that is. What up? How you doing? But like, it used to be where like people would give mod to people, so that they could see them. So like VIP helps considerably with that. But also, like, if we're talking about mods, like giving mod to people, like War has made a mod book on how to mod a stream.
Ah, yes.
Like,
that's good.
I don't know how I have him as a mod just because of that. Like, I don't have the time to like.
That's amazing.
Write a couple pages about mod work. I don't remember all my commands. I regularly forget them. So like, this man will literally type in the chat, like, boom, there. Like I will be offline and come to this computer with a mug of coffee to prepare myself before the stream, and I'll see that while I was offline, he has banned 16 people for being rude in other streams.
Oh my goodness, I love that. Yeah,
he is a monster. So like, you can't give that ability to somebody who just got there. Like, they'll ban somebody who is a regular just off.
That's my mom.
So like, right? Like. You banning the literal and like blood family fam? Get out of here! Like, get out of here with that! Like, So like, you got to be picky.
Yeah, and I think so. A bit of an extension of this conversation is, there's the volunteer position, and of course some mods do end up getting paid. I hope to be able to do this at some point, but there's the volunteer position of being a moderator. Somebody who's, reached a point where they're already basically doing performing a mod role, just not as a mod. And then you're like, okay, well, this kind of makes sense. This is kind of a natural fit for bringing them in. The conversion from mod to community manager, it should go the other way around.
You're fired. I've ever heard.
Yeah,
you're fired. You're awesome, but you're fired.
From moderator into the position of community manager, there's a way in which that makes sense, where it's still a volunteer position, and you're still effectively like, I'm giving you an elevated role, but maybe not necessarily more work. You can just kind of delegate other things you were doing as a mod to some of the other mods and just spend the same amount of time basically doing mod leaderships, sweet Christmas, my words, community leadership stuff. But what do you see as primary differences between a paid position and a volunteer position for community manager? And is there a point at which you should really be looking forward to the future to escalate or elevate somebody from that volunteer community leadership role into a paid one? That was like 8 questions. Pick and choose.
Offline activity. Like your boy, DJ's boy, who does amazing stuff. One of these days, you're gonna have to pay that person. It's like maybe one day if you want them to like step it up, you know. So, but when it comes to somebody who will, because there are mods out there that will just mod the channel and you don't see them again or don't hear from them again until the next stream. And then then there are mods who are like, hey, you know, hit you up on Discord afterwards with suggestions and ideas. That's the best ones to have. Those are the ones you want to cultivate. The ones that are like, I keep saying this, but proactive versus reactivity is super important to me.
Yes.
Having the wherewithal to like give you the ideas, thinking of the stuff that meets your needs before you even realize those are the needs you need to have met. Stream-wise is super duper important, and it is super important to cultivate those, to address them, to like in a good way, to like, you know, laud their praises and absolutely, you know, get them to be amazing for you. If they're already doing that, then you should absolutely be cultivating that if you want to have a broadcast manager one day.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that requires also communication with them. Like, hey, you know, talk it over with them. I might, you know, want to actually have a person to be more of in charge of kind of like the background of stuff for streaming. What do you think about it? Like, you obviously got to talk to them about it, but it's always something of a good conversation to have if it's somebody that you absolutely trust, and obviously you want to trust, but also, you know, trust but verify if you're one of those people who just really have a hard time with
Trust but confirm.
Yeah, trust but confirm, just to make sure everything's going right. And then when you're feeling more comfortable, you can kind of step away and be like, all right, well, I can walk away from this. I know when I get back, it'll get done and everything's good to go from there. So it's one of those things, you have to find those people, and you don't always find them right away. But when you really want to cultivate that relationship, make it rewarding for them, not only for you. And you know, grow those interpersonal skills we never had growing up. So that's just
what are interpersonal skills?
One-on-one talking, communication, and relationships, not outside of romantic ones. I'm really bad at making friends. So I looked it up, and so that's what I've read.
I am horrible about maintaining friendships because, like, I am just literally like, my dad texted me like last week. I haven't responded to him. Like, I am the
This
worst.
is something you can just pass off to your community manager.
Pretend
Please reply to my dad. It's my parents' 40th anniversary and I didn't do anything for them. Help.
I have ordered anniversary presents for clients' parents and extended family before.
There you go. Nailed it. That's perfect.
That is a brilliant idea, first of all. And I have done that before for other people as well.
Like,
yeah, what's your going rate? Availability?
Right?
Shoot me an email. No, it's just one of those. It's you guys' plates are full. Like, I know we say it in jest. You know, you haven't written back to your dad, but a manager is just a glorified assistant. Like, I'll say it. I don't mind saying it. I'm a glorified assistant. I put hair appointments on calendars and then remind the client 2 days, the day of, and hours before.
That would be so beast for somebody to be like, bro, you need a twist put in. Like, we already got you the appointment. Go do the thing. Sweet.
Yeah.
That's what I just did.
One of my clients was on stream, was like, oh, I really need a vacation. I'm off these 3 days. And I was like, hey, by the way, I just soft booked this. Let me know if you want to confirm this. We can go ahead for it.
Sweet.
So,
man, shit.
it's just
I'm sorry. I've tried not to swear like that. Oh,
You've got the beat button. You showed it off so much before.
there you go.
But
I'm sorry.
I used the mom before, or a family member, because there's somebody who you've had a lifetime of building a relationship, so they can anticipate your needs.
Yes.
And that's ultimately what a broadcast manager or even a community manager should be able to do, is to anticipate the needs of you and your community or your community. And that's, again, just going back to, when you can't anticipate your own needs or your own community's needs.
Yeah.
That it's, probably the time to start having those conversations.
Yes.
But it's really interesting. There's something that stood out to me about when you were talking about glorified assistant, that there's an idea that we have about an assistant being inferior, right? It's a lower position. It's not something you want. The American ideal of being the creator and the go-getter, and you're the one with all the ideas and putting them out there, and all of that ingenuity and the face of the product and the company and all of that as being the high point. But babies aren't born without the midwife. Like, that turns out to be a ridiculously important role. The person who facilitates all of the things getting done. Because it turns out no great thinker would ever be able to do any of this stuff unless they had everything else in their life kind of flowing. If you're not getting food, you can't produce great works. If you don't have somebody who is, if all of your time is occupied by this great stuff that you're doing, you need a fantastic assistant to make all of that stuff even possible.
Yeah.
At a certain point. I think it's an equal position to the one who's actually the face and doing that front facing work.
Or even do the little things like Devin was
Absolutely.
saying. Sorry, go ahead, Devin.
I was going to say, just look at a C-board at any company. CEO, that's always the person you notice. That's the person you recognize. That's the who does keynotes, but they're never the one that's actually made the product.
Yep. Not once.
Yeah.
At all.
That is correct. I actually had a point and I totally spaced on it again. I'm sorry. Once it comes to me, I will let you know. Oh, the little things. Sometimes it's really important to really like Devin said, do the little things. And that means also if you can find somebody who, if you are, outsourcing, once again, trying to find a broadcast manager who can actually help you do the little things like anniversary presents or get you appointments for stuff, because I'm still doing that myself. I have like a slew of appointments for Rob this week. And that's just the dentist. He has no idea. He just tells me, I just tell him where to show up. He just shows up. All right.
He has no idea.
He has no idea what it is, but he knows at 3:30, like this Thursday, he's got to be in the car with me because we're going to the dentist, so, and so I still do stuff like that, even when I have my own stream to run. So I understand the role that I have to do for him. But, when it comes to stuff like, thanking your mods and making, like thanking your mods, thanking, like, let's, for example, Towley's mods are a whole different group of people that are separate from my mods. And they do a lot of work. And the new Warcraft expansion is coming. And so I've been trying to make a thing for them to be like, the big thank you for the mods. Because you obviously have to make sure that you are recognizing the people that are always there because they're volunteers.
Yeah.
And you want to make sure that
it's often a thankless job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where I'm even starting to plan that thing, the holiday thank yous for the mods and stuff like that. So to have a person there kind of in charge to do that for you. So that's not something that you have to use your brain power on, because that is also a value to me, is brain power. That is also a value for time. And I said this in chat earlier, but being able to release a lot of brain power to use it on something else is extremely important for creativity, for planning ahead, for
absolutely just living a good life, really.
Yeah, for enriching yourself. So
yeah,
if you can, the more you can trust somebody to have them use up less of your brain power for, the better, is what I always like to say, because it's not always.
I really have to preserve as much brain power as possible because of how little I have.
So a really cool thing to take into consideration for all you content creators out there, if you ever do sponsored work, your mod team is an essential tool in your content creation. So you can negotiate a higher rate and then take a percentage of that rate, which is part of my fee, is on the completion of deals. I get a percentage, and you can convert that to paying your mod team at the end of the year. Or at the end of a month.
Ooh, I never heard that until just now. Somebody please take a clip of that and then tweet it to me, because I need it. I will forget. I
simple.
need that. Oh, sweet mercy. Because That like the first thing I ever learned when it came to content creation was from Raw Snacks.
Yeah.
She's like, if somebody's reaching out to you and they want to know if you want to do a thing, the one question that you should ask is there budget for this to be a sponsored opportunity? If you don't ask, you don't know that they have budget.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
the vast majority of the time they've got budget. So if you close mouths don't get fed. So I got to throw that out there to Raw Snacks, and I'm forever going to thank her for that, because that has literally helped
she's
pay
just
my
a
bills
boss.
during the pandemic. But like, yes,
Yeah.
she is a boss, but like still like that goes right along into the folder with that level of advice. Like I had never considered it until you just said it. Like, oh snaps, I could pay my mods a bonus at the end of the year.
Yeah, and it's really simple to track and to navigate. If you're getting paid $1,000, negotiate 10% higher, 8% higher, and then just put that into any kind of account, into Wave, into PayPal, into Venmo, and let it sit, and then just pay it out as a hey, a thank you. And then those are, I highly suggest for people that aren't necessarily looking for a manager, but their mods and their community help to pick up some of those managerial duties. It's one that I've always suggested if it didn't feel like bringing me on was a good fit. So
Cool. That's very respectable too. That's something that I have always loved. I think since I was a teenager, is when people, if they're not the right fit, pointing to something else that may be, instead of just abandoning and being like, well, I'm not right for you. Good luck. You're missing out. Instead of being like, oh, well, here's another opportunity that may fit well for you. You're performing a great service for people by doing that.
The entirety of the industry benefits nothing by me withholding secrets.
Yeah.
And
There are
I would
people-
rather.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, sorry. Go right for it.
People hoard information about everything,
Oh,
like
my
every
goodness, yes.
aspect of the streamer life from top to bottom. Some people hoard that information, and I've said this before, like a dragon hoarding gold, and will refuse to give it away, and refuse. I hate that. I hate it. I love to share information when I have it. I love getting information from other people because I never get to get enough from other people, because I'm working on getting more friends so we can talk about this more often. And so and so the sharing of information is so important. That's why Streamer Square is so important in general.
Truly.
Such an underutilized stream this is to the masses. Yeah, that was a little compliment over there for Hunter and Loco whenever she's back.
Well, and I like sharing information because I might have point A, but the next person that I talk to about it, they're going to take it to B,
Absolutely.
to C, to D, to the point that Go XLRs are invented.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this is also what I like about midwifery.
Yeah.
My philosophy mentor considered himself a philosophy midwife. He would help facilitate ideas into creation. He'd be going through the Socratic method. He didn't really come up with novel ideas himself and write treatises and books and whatever. He helped everybody else do that. He was this hidden behind the scenes guru, legitimately, that made all of these things possible because of that help and assistance he provided to other people. I got a lot of respect for that, but I don't have a lot of time. We got to wrap this up. If y'all wouldn't mind, we can go in the opposite order that we did for intros, which I don't recall what that order was.
I know what that order was. Let's go opposite.
Okay, good. Thank you. Do some shout outs. Let us know where we can find you, what you're up to, if you have any special events or goals you're shooting for, what have you.
So I guess that's me. You can find me on Twitter, Devin DEVIN_NV for my beloved home state of Nevada. In my bio, I've got my business email. If you ever have questions about management, events, anything top to bottom, I am an open door DM or email, and I'll walk you through it. No consultation fees. I just require an NDA.
Nice.
Damn. That's badass.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And that's what happens when you want to get a full inbox. These aren't Evan stories.
Hi, I'm Lulaboo. I'm a cooking streamer. I'm also a part-time game streamer. If you want to hit me up, I'm always at twitch.tv/Lulaboo, at fail_Lula for Twitter and Instagram. For all those food porn pics, if you want to go check it out over there. I also am I have a Discord. You can check out if you ever have any questions for me. I do have an email out there, lulaboogaming@gmail.com. If you ever have any questions about anything else, I will be participating in a World of Warcraft marathon next month.
Hey.
Cool.
So I will be
Nice.
helping facilitate a Hammer Squad. Well, not really. It's just me and Tally. But we're just trying to facilitate a 10-day WoW marathon. So that's
Cool.
it's gonna be
That's
crazy.
in November.
It's in November. We don't know when anymore because the expansion got delayed. So whenever the expansion comes out, the release date, that's the start of 10 days of WoW marathoning with me, Tally, and a couple other friends.
Cool.
Very nice.
Till then, I'm just cooking all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Such a good way to be.
And maybe with that smoker. See what happens.
We'll see. Yes, I will soon be fundraising for a tower smoker.
Nice.
See
for
more
you.
information later.
All right, DJ, what you got?
Hi, I'm DeejayKnight. I'm the person who introduced brisket and the vertical smokers into this conversation. You're welcome to those of you who are in Lula's stream and will find it when she makes the most amazing things and provides more of those food pictures that you are so accustomed to. I'm a space and sci-fi streamer here on Twitch. Yes, I say space and sci-fi, but to be fair, like she made the point earlier of like DJ played The Sims. Like literally somebody was in my chat like, yo, that'd be boss if DJ played The Sims. That's why like I primarily play space and sci-fi games, but I try to add a mix of everything in there because I would literally lose my mind if I only ever played sci-fi games. So like it's
When it's your job,
nice.
it turns out there's a bit of a different emphasis. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I'll do it. Like I had to take breaks from like Elite Dangerous. I love Elite Dangerous, but I was like, nope, I gotta let that one get some more time in the oven. And then right about the time where I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna hop back into Elite soon. Then they were like, hey, we're gonna let you walk around in the game in like 6 months. And it's like, oh, perfect. Now's the time for me to go back in there. So, but no, like I play space and sci-fi games. I'm very silly. I also post amazing pictures, but nowhere near to the frequency of Lula's. Those are just way better. I'm just trying to be like her when I grow up when it comes to food. But you guys are awesome. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate the opportunity to be here. I have a thing that's happening this week that I'm not at liberty to talk about specifically because I haven't been given the okay for it.
Yeah,
but
same.
it's
Keep
gonna
your
be
eye
awesome.
out, chat.
Have stuff sooner and same. Yeah.
Very soon though. And you know what's gonna be awesome this weekend when there's like nothing.
I'm a big
And
fan of that.
if the brisket's gone, I'll be smoking something else. Like I've got 3 racks of ribs waiting, and also not just like a major event, but like weekly through the it's close to the end of the year. I'm in an RPG on Sundays called Into the Motherlands. It's being created by Cypher of Tears. She's like the lead, and it's pretty awesome. We had our episode 1 yesterday.
Terrific.
Episode 1 was yesterday. The first week we did 2 weeks ago was creating our characters, giving background into the characters, the lore. And then last night we actually had our first play session where we got into some turbulence and caught a solar flare. So next week's going to start out very interesting. So if you dig it, Cypher of Tears in chat somewhere. If I can post her link in the Streamer Square chat, I will. But otherwise, she's on Twitter.
Happen.
Please.
Got it.
Happen.
I clicked a button.
Thanks.
Did I do it? Ha ha! I have been the Hunter Wild, as far as I know. Words were a little difficult today. Not sure where my head is at, but I'm pretty sure. Pretty confident. Thank y'all so very much for taking the time and energy to commit yourselves to the betterment of the industry and the education that we try so hard to provide. It's only possible through the efforts of other brilliant people. So thank you, each one of you, 1, 2, 3, for coming on the show today and jamming out with us about this. Personally, I am on a streaming intermission while I work hardcore on, I think at last count, 38 projects over a 6-week period for a grand relaunch that I could not be more excited for.
Nice.
That's awesome, though.
So amped. But that was part of the conversation that we had today about a lot of that. So that we'll be coming back in time for Assassin's Creed Valhalla and the PS5 launch. Really amped about that. And of course,
Great choices.
next week, I think I locked it in today. I think I can actually announce what next week's show is. We're going to be doing D&D and tabletop streaming, talking about how to do it and what all is involved and like what has just taken off and really not necessarily dominated, but it's still a pretty good word to use there. Dominated the streaming space in the last couple of years, and it's getting bigger and bigger. So we're going to be covering that with, I believe, Pumpkinberry and Brad Woto next week. I hope I don't have the date wrong. So tune back.
If you got one more space, I know somebody else who would love to talk to you about that.
I think I know who you're talking about.
Call me. That's been us for today. Thank you all so much out there for watching the stream scene. We've got more shows all week long. Unless we don't, check Twitter. I'm too uninformed without Loco here. She is the person who carries me through every show. Love y'all. Take care. Good luck. And go to streamersquare.com and vote.
Definitely. I'm voting tomorrow.
I'm doing mine today.
Hopefully. Early voting.
Mail-in, yeah.
No, we can't do mail-in in Texas.
Oh, yeah. No. RIP.